Robbie Bacon, Associate Editor at RideApart here in the North Georgia mountains, testing out Honda's new e-clutch on the CB650R and the CBR 650R. Like most motorcyclists, when new technology enters the field, I get a bit hesitant because I don't really know what way it's going to shape the industry. And that was no different for the e-clutch. As the good journalist I am, I have tried to upset this system as many ways as possible. I have been downshifting aggressively, upshifting aggressively. We've been to the track, that's where we spent our morning, and now we're out on these beautiful roads. So far, I haven't been able to upset it at all, really. It basically acts as a quickshifter, which I have on my own personal bike and I use all the time. I don't want any misconception. You can also use the clutch if you want at any time. I think there might be some confusion around this. You can use it as a totally manual bike if that's the way you want. In fact, you can turn the whole system off. But unlike the standard quick shifter you get on most bikes, this has a little something extra in that you can shift down while accelerating and you can shift up while decelerating. That's not just thrown in for no good reason. That has a real use. I've only used a system that works like this once before and I love it. If you're trundling along at whatever legal speeds, 65 miles an hour, and you come upon a car that's doing 50, instead of rolling off the throttle, downshifting 3 gears, and then back on the throttle, pitching you forward and back and forward, you just keep your hand exactly where it is on the gas, even accelerate if you want, knock it down, and then you're done. There's none of this upsetting the bike, upsetting you. It's just a calmer operation. And that calmer operation is evident on the track, but more importantly in traffic or in towns and cities. And I think that's where most people will find the benefit of this system. It's wonderful. New technology is always going to come with opposition. People didn't like quick shifters when they first came in, some people, and now they love them. I love my quick shifter. I use it all the time. And I reckon if I had this on my bike, I wouldn't be pulling in the clutch in traffic. I would be leaving it in first and letting the e-clutch do its job. I don't see why I wouldn't. The only way that Honda could have screwed up is if they took away your autonomy. Because that's what we love as motorcyclists, I think, most people. We love being able to go away by ourselves. If we wanted other people, we wouldn't ride motorcycles. So the fact that you have a clutch that you can use if and when you want keeps your autonomy. The only time your autonomy is taken away from you is if you were to come to a stop in fourth gear in an emergency. The clutch will kick in to stop you stalling. And I can't see a situation where that isn't a good thing. You've taken away my right to stall the bike. If you actually want that, you can just turn the whole system off and go and stall the bike as much as you want. But why? Why would you do that? You know, speaking to the road element, we've got more roads to ride here before we finish up. On track, I think I liked it even more than the road, because when you downshift, you can blip the throttle yourself. Whereas with a quick shifter, with an auto-blipper, I like to try and override the auto-blipper. I like to do it myself. There's something rewarding about it, and there's that extra element of control. But some bikes don't like that. They get all squirmy, you're adding it and you're jerking all around, so you just leave it. This, when you downshift, you can do it with the clutch. You can engage the clutch and you can blip, or you can just downshift and blip, downshift and blip. It gives you actually more autonomy over how the bike is reacting to your inputs than a standard quick shifter, in my opinion. At the presentation for the e-clutch, it was suggested that this is more of an evolution of a manual transmission rather than anything else. At the time, I didn't really understand how that could be. I understand it now. I mean, you have a manual transmission that works perfectly well. You have a quick shifter that works perfectly well. And now you have an anti-stall, basically. It's just one less thing to think about after a long day at work. You're coming home, you don't have to touch the clutch. It's beautiful. And if you want to touch the clutch, you want all that mechanical engagement, it's there. You know, there's a wire here. It's still a wired clutch. The bike is the same price as it was last year, so you're not paying extra. I mean, it adds £4. That's, you know, some people are going to say, it adds £4. It's nothing. £4 is nothing. It hasn't gotten in the way of my shin. I haven't, you know, it's a little chunk here. It hasn't gotten in the way of anything. That's what I felt so far. These are my initial thoughts. I'm going to have to really sit down and figure out what the drawbacks are, if there are any. And you can read about it in the article on RideApart, and the link will be in this description. Until then, subscribe, follow along, and I'll see you next time.